Welcome to the Brooklyn Sound Lab here at Shotgun Studios in Berkeley, California. I am Nick Musleh, and this is. Let's introduce ourselves.
I'm Bridgette Loriaux.
Hi.
Hi. I am adapting, directing, and choreographing A Midsummer Night's Dream for Marin Shakespeare Company.
And Philippa Kelly, one of the dramaturgs for Marin Shakes.
So let's jump right into the discussion about adapting the dream. You are the director and the adapter.
Yes.
And I wanted to start off by just pointing out I've seen a lot of productions of Midsummer Night's Dream, and
Scary.
I've never seen this play, and I mean that in the best way possible. You have adapted it down to the syllable, it seems. You've got such a grasp of the language. Every word seems so perfectly defined. Each syllable is in its place, and yet the script has so many added pieces that make it such a unique experience.
Thank you
Yes,
so
of
much.
course. Well, no, can you talk about that and that process of adapting a play and making it still so new and personal to you?
So I was very, very lucky because when I was 22 years old, my very first experience with Midsummer Night's Dream was when I played one of the fairies at OSF, and being so young and being introduced to Shakespeare and that play at that time, all of everything that I learned, it stayed with me, and it is definitely it influenced a lot of how I approached this play. There's a lot of pressure
What?
doing a play, a classical play that everyone has seen a million times. And how can I just have people to actually experience the play, experience the words? And I did that. I tried to do that through movement, sound, which is so important to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then with the design team, it's been an extraordinary collaborative experience to adapt, because I'm adapting for the cast members.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there's all of these. There's an initial adaptation and a vision of how I want to put this on the stage, but once a cast is put in there, there are all of these details and these intricacies that I'm adding, and the images and sequences, and trying to schmeld these three worlds
Yeah.
together.
You're playing with it in real time.
I don't even know if schmeld is...
Smelled is a word. And
Is it...
it's a word now. You coined it. But speaking of smelding, I got a chance to take a class when I was in undergrad with Mark Rylance.
Mhm.
And what he did with Shakespeare's plays, whenever he put them, of course he was famous for going very traditional with his productions at the Globe.
Yes.
But also at the same time, like when we saw him in Measure for Measure, it's like he was adding words. He was like kind of stammering. He was like stuttering when he played the Duke, and you're like, that's not in the play. You ask yourself like, what? But it's alive. And
Yes.
we asked him about it, and he said, well, you got to study this material. You got to know it as well as you can, and that's where dramaturgy comes in. But at the same time, when you're playing with it, nobody likes when the kid has a soccer ball and is afraid to scuff it up. You've got to be able to kick it around.
Mm-hmm.
And Philippa, you've seen, I'm sure, a lot of productions that attempt to do this. And can you talk about initially reading Bridgette's production, and because she has so much of the movement and blocking and sounds already in that first draft of the script that she gave to the audience?
Yeah, so there was a critic and also actually a playwright, Harley Granville Barker, and he loved Shakespeare and particularly Midsummer Night's Dream. And he said, a Shakespeare play is like an orchestral score awaiting performance. And for me, this really comes to life with Bridgette's script, because Bridgette is actually incredibly musical. incredibly sophisticated with dance and movement. And so she has literally taken this orchestral score and brought it into performance, including, I think, dealing with, the idea of we so often, as Judith Butler, who taught at UC Berkeley for many years, said, when we think about gender, we are thinking about something that we actually rehearse for a very long time. And so what we think of as gender is actually just an incredibly repetitive rehearsal process. And of course, right now, we're releasing ourselves from a lot of those expectations. Bridgette has brought that release to the heart of her production.
Thank you, Philippa.
So
It was
maybe
Lysandra. It's so crazy because I don't even think about it, because it was one of the first things that I wanted to do with the play. Instead of a Lysander, there's Lysandra, played by Adrian Dean. That, for me, gave Aegeus more. It just never felt complete. I never felt at the end of the show, at the end of the play, that Aegeus kind of just simmered out a little bit, and everyone, and it happens a lot, I think, in some of the comedies, and it's a little bit of a happy ever after, and that's great and that's wonderful. But I feel that at these times, in this contemporary atmosphere where not everything needs to end in a bow.
yeah.
And that's why I think that we are doing these plays still now, is because there are still these questions and more to discover, and we'll always have these things to discover.
You present the stakes of the play so well, like you said, and like Philippa says, that the stakes are presented to the audience up front and immediately. We understand the problems of this world,
Yes.
and within each group, the problems seem to resemble each other. There is a dispute in love. There is a dispute sometimes between friends in
Yes.
love. Sometimes there's a dispute between used to be foreign adversaries, but now have to come and unite. And if Shakespeare were speaking towards civil strife in his audience, which we can relate to now, and
Yes.
and creating a play about unification, about trying to bring people together, even though it seems impossible. I think by the end of the play, because of some magic or whatever, it does seem to happen. But can you talk a little bit about that discord, and why it personally, what it meant personally to you, especially with themes like jealousy, especially with the themes like, people having power over other people and their decisions and their choices.
One thing that was at the forefront was that this fairy world, the reason why there is mayhem in the mortal world was because Titania and Oberon were fighting over this child, which is it's a custody in modern times of a man and a woman. In this case, they're fairies, but I really wanted to humanize, in a lot of ways, this fairy world, because what is it for a god not to be perfect? We're talking about jealousy, betrayal, revenge, distrust, miscommunication, mistakes with Puck, making a mistake. What is it for a god to make a mistake? I feel like so many times in Midsummer Night's Dream, the audience, because we're talking about gods, and there is like this separation with the audience. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to start a conversation with the audiences through these characters that usually they feel really distant from, that the audiences can relate to Oberon, who is trying to, like, what does this beast have that I don't have? Like, I've never seen this woman look at me, be with me, hold me like she's holding this beast, and for these plans that he had to go wrong. You know, Demetrius in one moment loved Helen, and now he doesn't. And why do we judge people for falling out of love so quickly? It happens every day. People are in bed together. They open their eyes and they're like, I'm in the wrong room.
Mm-hmm.
It happens. And why do we judge people? Hey, that could be me. That could be you. That could be my dad. That could be my mom. That could be my sister. You know, and best friends falling in love with. It happens. These things that he's talking about happen. You know, he wrote this for a wedding. William wrote this for a wedding. And actually, he talks about all the things that you think about before you're about to marry someone.
Oh, it's intriguing to think of the sort of tapestry of these timescapes that we're uniting in this moment. Nick mentioned before about harmony, and the result of all this maelstrom of emotion is eventually harmony. And one of the things I think that an audience might like to think about is that actually you can't have a play when everybody has resolution, because part of the engine of drama is to have everybody on that stage not yet having something that they desperately want. And so we'll see this in Bridgette's production, in the wonderful and hurtful and painful craziness of all these love relationships and mistaken identities. As Bridge and Nick are saying, this is the architecture of human life.